The drastic transformation of his body's constitution made it difficult to control his perspiration. The Tiger Leopard bone training technique is truly worthy of being the pinnacle of the Human Federation's wisdom. It's simply incredible. The more he practiced, the more impressed he felt with the strength training method. It was hard to imagine how it was created. Only the collective wisdom of billions of people from the Human Federation made it possible. I thought that the effectiveness would gradually weaken with time as it did with the dragon marrow cleansing technique. Who would have thought the effects would actually improve? Wu Yuan felt rather emotional. He now understood the reason behind this phenomenon. If these techniques were practiced after reaching adulthood, the effects would not be as obvious because one's musculoskeletal system would already be fully developed. But now, as he still was in the throes of furious growth, practicing the Tiger Leopard bone training technique would stimulate his development even further. In just 3 months, my strength is approaching that of my previous life. He could now exert a force of 18,000 caddies with a single arm. Wu Yuan had tested his physical strength at the Martial Academy yesterday when there was no one around. The result was not far off from what he perceived with his internal vision. What terrifying power! Just 4 months ago, when Wu Yuan first regained his senses, the force of his punch was only around 3,000 caddies. Now, it had increased 6-fold. It's the result of the wondrous cultivation method, but more importantly, the genes. If I were at this age in the Human Federation, I wouldn't be able to reach this level in a year of practice, even with the aid of the AI network and the best nutrition. A cat, no matter how much it exercised, couldn't become a tiger. The Middle Land is vast, with numerous powerful martial artists in each generation. However, the number of 14-year-old 5th grade martial artists should be few and far between. Wu Yuan swung his fists. He controlled his muscles and bones to exert their strength, causing his muscles to bulge. Every part of his body became as tough as forged steel, brimming with formidable power. The only problem is that the 800 body tempering pills I bought the last time are all used up. I've made 4 consecutive trips to the Starcom Consortium. The 4th time, I believe they sent an adept expert to track me down. Even though I managed to shake them off, I can no longer return. Where should I go to get body tempering pills next? Chapter 15, Vicious Tiger Gang. The first time Wu Yuan practiced the Tiger Leopard bone training technique, he consumed 15 low-grade body tempering pills. As his power surged, so did his consumption. He depleted a staggering 55 body tempering pills during the training session he had just completed. Over the past 3 or so months, Wu Yuan had visited the Starcom Consortium 4 times in succession, buying a total of over 2,000 low-grade body tempering pills. Though he had changed his appearance through transfiguration every time, he could not escape their notice. This did not surprise Wu Yuan. If he were the overseer of the Starcom Consortium, he too would be curious. Now, Wu Yuan had less than 100 body tempering pills left. His current supplies would only last him 3 more sessions at most. Moreover, even with more body tempering pills, their effectiveness would only lessen over time. Wu Yuan furrowed his brows slightly. I must find a higher grade medicinal pill soon. Body tempering pills were the most basic of auxiliary medicinal pills, only effective for low-level martial artists. Wu Yuan's current physique was extremely robust. Though he was still in the strength training phase, his raw strength was close to a 5th grade martial artist. The energy contained in the body tempering pill was now insufficient to support his growth. But even if I find a higher grade medicinal pill, I am a little short on silver tails. I can't ask the chieftain for help again so soon. Over these past 3 months, Chieftain Wu Kaiming had taken the initiative to visit him, insisting that he take another 2,000 silver taels. Of these, 1,000 taels were given on behalf of the clan. The other 1,000 came from a portion of the 5,000 taels that Wu Kaiming had reserved for Wu Yuan from back then. Wu Yuan routinely cleaned up all traces of his training. His figure darted about unpredictably as he returned to the courtyard. Home. Wu Yuan's gaze swept over the courtyard house. Even though it was still nighttime, with the sky not yet bright, it was hardly any different from daytime in Wu Yuan's eyes. The courtyard wall was repaired, with a new layer of bricks. The gate and the interior of the house had been newly renovated, a huge improvement from when Wu Yuan first took over this body. This was all thanks to the clan's help. POE.co. Mother's health has improved considerably. 2 months ago, the family invited the alchemist in Lee City to treat his mother. Wu Yuan didn't have to do anything. Thanks to this, a great burden was lifted from Wu Yuan's mind. The chieftain is also under a lot of pressure. The Wu clan isn't a large clan and has many expenses. Inviting an alchemist is not just a matter of favors, but also a huge financial burden. I should not trouble the chieftain with monetary matters anymore. Wu Yuan knew that his upcoming cultivation needs would include advanced medicinal pills and many precious treasures. It would cost far more than what the Wu clan could afford. My strength has partially recovered, but it's still far from my past life's peak. Even after spending several months at the rigid yet supple stage, I am still at a rudimentary level. Wu Yuan lightly leaped into his house, landing without a sound. However, hardly anyone in Li City can intimidate me now. Looking across the entire Middle Land, I no longer fear any second-rate adepts. 6th grade martial practitioners were martial virtuosos. 5th grade martial artists were also known as third-rate adepts, 4th grade martial artists were known as second-rate adepts, and 3rd grade martial artists were known as first-rate adepts. Wu Yuan's pure physical strength fell short of a third-rate adept, but his astonishing martial skills compensated for it. After Wu Yuan returned to his own courtyard house, he slipped into bed before his mother awoke. Only a mile away, the ancestral mansion of the Wu clan remained lit throughout the night. Inside the meeting hall, "Chieftain, we've done all we could. We've managed to scrape together 6,500 taels, but are still short of 1,500 taels, the white-bearded accountant sighed, his desk piled high with account books. Our clan's treasury is completely depleted. 1,500 taels. Chieftain Wu Kaiming's eyes were lowered, appearing deep in thought. The vicious tiger gang, that bunch of scoundrels. They're asking for too much. We've always paid 3,000 taels in the past years, but they want 8,000 taels this time. They are seriously pushing us into a corner." A burly man dressed in linen clothes gritted his teeth. "Chieftain, maybe, we should refuse to pay." "Refuse to pay?" A middle-aged scholarly man shook his head. The vicious tiger gang, one of the top 5 gangs in Li City, is well known for their brutality. Any business operating within their territory, even big clans like the Luo clan, would rather pay some silver according to the size of their businesses than get into a confrontation with them. Compared to the vicious tiger gang, our Wu clan is weak. A direct confrontation would be suicidal. Even if their methods are brutal, that only applies outside of Li City. Does the vicious tiger gang dare enter the city? The man in linen garments glared. "Enter the city? The tiger gang isn't that foolish," remarked another young man in a black robe, shaking his head. "The sect has dominion over a vast expanse of land. They only have enough manpower to oversee counties and municipalities. The numerous villages and towns scattered throughout their domain are beyond their reach. Those places are where these small gangs survive. Storming the city is equivalent to challenging the authority of the sect, which will alert and activate the South Dream Army. The majority of people in the Middle Land practiced martial arts. When one's body was a weapon, one was naturally inclined to aggression. Martial artists were inherently unbound. Therefore, the Cloudstride sect had no intention of controlling their subjects at the grassroots level. It was far too costly. They merely controlled the overall situation within their territory, delegating a large portion of authority. As long as a small gang did not expand excessively, the sect would not take action to exterminate it. If we want our fabric shop to thrive, we can't be confined to the city. We will have to head into the countryside, into villages and towns, to collect silkworms. It's impossible to avoid the vicious tiger gang, another youth in a black robe calmly stated. And if a conflict arises, I fear we might not be able to protect the 2 mansions we have outside of the city. The running of fabric shops was a complex matter. To grow the business, they had to purchase silkworms, silk, cotton, and linen. They also manufactured a portion of the raw materials themselves. Otherwise, the overall cost was too high. All of these inevitably involved operations outside the city. But the vicious tiger gang is simply too ruthless. The man in linen clothing gritted his teeth. We run a fabric shop, not a bank. This year they are demanding an additional 5,000 taels from us. How much silver does our Wu clan even make in a year? They are driving us to our deaths. The linen-clothed man's eyes were bloodshot. "Dongjiao." Chieftain Wu Kaiming suddenly spoke. "Did you find out who is behind the vicious tiger gang?" "It's not clear. The rise of the vicious tiger gang was very quick, and the gang leader along with several high-ranking members appear to have come from outside the city." The elegant middle-aged man responded. With our resources, it would be difficult to decipher their background in a short time. It has to be either the county mayor, the general of defense, the county deputy, or the county magistrate. The man in linen garments snorted coldly. Be cautious with your words. Wu Kaiming frowned. However, those present knew well enough. A small gang of a few dozen or 100 men might lack any significant backing. But for a gang like the vicious Tiger Gang with thousands of members, whose name reverberated throughout Lee City, how could there possibly be no prominent figure sanctioning their actions? The 3,000-strong army of defense could scatter a large gang with tens of thousands of members with ease. For the 600 soldiers of the South Dream Army, defeating 100,000 renegades wasn't a big deal. The title of leader of a big gang sounded menacing, but they were mostly just puppets of the powerful used to accumulate wealth and do their dirty work. Chieftain, why don't we ask Brother Yuan if he has any spare silver? The accountant suggested, once the clan has more resources, we can repay Brother Yuan. Hearing these words, everyone turned to look at Wu Kaiming. No. Wu Kaiming shook his head. Here's what we will do. The clan's treasury must not be left empty. Prepare 5,000 silver taels split into 2 piles, one with 3,000 taels and the other with 2,000 taels. I will personally make a trip to the vicious Tiger Gang. Days passed one after another. This day, Wu Yuan came to the Martial Academy for practice as usual. Having placed fourth in the last major tournament, he did not participate in this year's minor tournaments, but who amongst the recent batch of elite disciples dared claim they could beat him? In Lee City, Wu Yuan already earned a reputation as a martial arts genius. Headmaster Zhang De even personally declared that Wu Yuan's practice room was to be his private space, and he would only have to return it after next year's major tournament. Just after noon, Wu Yuan, his personal mentor, Huan Xinyan, appeared outside his practice room. Your clansmen are looking for you. It seems like a very important matter. They are waiting for you outside the Martial Academy. Clansmen. Wu Yuan was initially taken aback, then immediately nodded. Thank you, Instructor Huan, I'll meet them right away. Wu Yuan was somewhat puzzled. In the years of practicing at the Martial Academy, apart from the chieftain and his mother, no clan member had ever come to look for him at the Martial Academy. Swiftly, he arrived at the large gates of the Martial Academy. With a single glance, Wu Yuan spotted a few individuals by the entrance. Among them was a refined middle-aged man who seemed to be in great haste. He had a look of distress and was panting heavily. Uncle Danjio, Wu Yuan approached with long strides. Wu Danjio, one of the 3 scholars of Wu clan's Lee City branch, was renowned for his cunning intelligence and held a high position within the Wu clan. Wu Yuan, right now, only you can save the chieftain, Wu Danjio spoke hurriedly. Chapter 16, The Wu clan's fortune. A mass of people had gathered at the ancestral mansion of the Wu clan. The courtyard outside the ancestral hall was filled with over 400 clansmen. One had to understand that the Wu clan consisted of just over 800 members in total, including the elderly, ill, women, and children. It was currently midday, and neither a festival nor a holiday. On an ordinary day like this, members of the Wu clan would typically be dispersed among their various shops and houses, tending to their duties. Such a congregation of clan members was indeed an unusual sight. Moreover, within the courtyard, many women and children were seen crying, and several white cloths covered the ground, casting a somber atmosphere. Young Master Yuan has arrived, a voice suddenly rang out. Wu Yuan? The martial prodigy from the 9th house. The chieftain values him highly. He may become an adept in the future, but right now, he's only a 7th grade martial novice. What help can he offer? Among the hundreds present in the yard, many turned to look at him, whispering among themselves. Their voices carried a mix of curiosity, doubt, and in some, an underlying layer of disdain. The Wu clan was not some family with a millennium-long history or thousands of members. Most of its hundreds of members would gather at the ancestral mansion for the New Year and the 3 major festivals. Wu Yuan had been favored by the chieftain Wu Kaiming these past years, a well-known fact within the clan. Moreover, he had made quite a splash in the Martial Academy major tournament a few months ago. Therefore, few clansmen did not recognize Wu Yuan. Wu Yuan, accompanied by Wu Danjio and a few others, made his way through the crowd. The sea of people automatically parted for him, allowing him to take in the scene in the courtyard. The crying women and children, and corpses. 6 corpses. He had gotten the gist of the situation from Wu Dongjiao, and had long heard of the brutality of the gangs outside the city. But hearing it from others was completely different from seeing it for himself. In his previous life, Wu Yuan had fought against mechanized armor, battled genetically modified beasts, and even forged a legend of 1,870 consecutive victories on the Starfighting Network in the metaverse. But he had never killed anyone before. Murder was against the law. In the interstellar era, what difference did it make if one was a martial arts grandmaster? The Skynet monitored the entire planet, and a single deployment of interstellar orbit artillery had the potential to annihilate an entire super city. There was never any room for martial artists to cause real harm with their powers. In the interstellar era, the primary aim of martial arts training was to pursue the evolution of life. Most martial arts grandmasters acquired their wealth through live streaming, grandmaster duels, and peak martial arts battles across the solar system. Not through blood-soaked killings. Through poring through extensive literature and receiving the memories of his body's predecessor, he knew the cruelty of this middle land. Crimes were an everyday occurrence here. But this was Wu Yuan's first real encounter with death. There were some among the weeping women and children whom Wu Yuan knew well. One family lived just a few dozen meters away from Wu Yuan's home. His kin were brutally killed, just like that. A hint of murderous intent had crept up within Wu Yuan after he understood what had transpired. And now, it grew into a burning thirst for blood. Wu Yuan, let's go to the meeting hall, Dongjiao spoke in a low voice. Wu Yuan nodded. The two quickly walked past the ancestral hall and entered the meeting hall deep in the manor. Only 4 people were present. Following behind Dongjiao, Wu Yuan understood that with Chieftain Wu Kaiming captured, those present were the current decision-makers of the Wu clan. Wu Yuan pays respects to uncles. Wu Yuan slightly bowed. This bow was made on behalf of his predecessor, and also to express gratitude to the clan for the support they provided his family. Wu Yuan and Dongjiao have arrived, said an elderly man with a white beard. He sat on one side of the room, mustering a smile with some difficulty. Please, take a seat. Do sit, said a young man in a black robe from across the hall. ReadNovel.com. The other two did not speak. Their faces were emotionless, revealing nothing of their thoughts. Wu Yuan rose, standing at an impressive height of 1.8 meters. His youthful face betrayed his age, otherwise, none would have guessed he was only 14. Uncles, on the way here, I have heard from Uncle Dongjiao that the vicious tiger gang has destroyed our mansion in the city's south and seized our chieftain. This is simply unacceptable, Wu Yuan declared. Wu Yuan, a stern voice cut through the air. The black-robed bald man who had been silent earlier now spoke. You are here not because you are entitled to attend a clan meeting, but because we need you to return the financial aid that the clan has granted you. It is necessary for the clan to overcome our current crisis. Keep your opinions to yourself. Uncle Long, Wu Yuan asked in a calm voice, in your opinion, what kind of person is eligible to attend clan meetings? One must either be a scholar who has passed the imperial examinations, a shopkeeper of 2 shops in prime locations, or a 6th grade martial virtuoso, the bald man known as Wu Long replied coldly. You're still a child. Let's talk about this when you're older. Uncle Long, Wu Yuan's voice remained calm. If reaching the 6th grade martial virtuoso level is what it takes, then I believe I am eligible to speak now. This statement sent shockwaves through the room. Wu Dongjiao, Wu Long, and the white-bearded elder were all taken aback, gazing at Wu Yuan in disbelief. Wu Yuan's words held an implicit message. He possessed the strength of a martial virtuoso. Suddenly, the man known as Wu Long moved. Boom. Swift as a cheetah, he leaped 2 jongs forward and landed heavily, cracking the azure stone floor. Without a pause, he balled his hand into a fist, swinging a powerful punch right at Wu Yuan. No. The white-bearded elder cried out instinctively. Wu Long, stop. Wu Dongjiao also yelled in consternation, trying to halt Wu Long's attack. But how could a 7th grade martial novice react in time? Their faces paled. Thud. A dull explosion echoed through the hall. Contrary to the expectations of the Wu clan's higher UPS, Wu Yuan did not retreat but retaliated with a punch of his own. Under the impact of tens of thousands of caddies of force, the ground instantly fractured. Wu Long remained in his original position, slowly retracting his fist. His eyes conveyed a mix of incredulity, tinged with a hint of joy. Meanwhile, Wu Yuan staggered backward several steps, seemingly overpowered, before finally stopping. Yet, defiance flickered in his eyes. The two of them stared at each other. The meeting hall fell silent. Wu Dongjao, along with the white-bearded elder and the other clansmen, watched the scene in shock. Wu Long was the second best fighter in the entirely city branch of the Wu clan, capable of unleashing a force of 15,000 caddies. Yet, he did not dominate Wu Yuan in a contest of strength. He merely held a slight advantage, and the gap was not apparent. This suggested that Wu Yuan could exert at least 10,000 caddies of force. Haha, well done. You weren't lying after all. Wu Long was far from angry, and a smile even bloomed on his stern face. Wu Yuan, Uncle Long has wronged you. From now on, you have the right to speak in clan meetings. 3 months ago, you were still a 7th grade martial novice, and now you possess the power of 10,000 caddies. Wu Dongjao looked at Wu Yuan as if beholding a monster. Even after all his years of training, he had yet to become a martial virtuoso. A 14-year-old martial virtuoso. The elderly man with a white beard stood up, his body trembling in agitation. The last time Lee City saw such a gifted martial artist was over 20 years ago. This is our Wu clan's great fortune. It was I who was too arrogant. I hope uncles can forgive me. Wu Yuan seemed to have regained his composure. Arrogant? Haha. Wu Long shook his head and laughed. Kid, you call this arrogance? If I had your martial talent, I would be 10 times more arrogant than you. Chapter 17, I can only rely on myself. Wu Yuan's impressive display of power brought a rare moment of ease to the Wu clan's higher UPS, who were previously tense with anxiety. 3 months ago, Wu Yuan secured 4th place in the Martial Academy Major Tournament, signifying a huge possibility of reaching the adept level in 6 to 7 years. But now, in just over 3 months, he had advanced from a 7th grade martial novice to a 6th grade martial virtuoso. How astounding was his progress! Even now, Wu Yuan was among a few martial virtuosos in the Wu clan. In the whole Lee City branch, out of nearly 1,000 clan members, there were only 9 6th grade martial virtuosos, not even in the double digits. This spoke volumes about the scarcity of martial virtuosos. The recruitment prerequisite of the South Dream Army, the Cloudstride Sex Elite Army stationed in South Dream Province, was that one had to be a martial virtuoso. Wu Yuan is indeed a rare genius of our Wu clan. If the chieftain knew, he would certainly be beyond exuberant, the black-robed young man sighed. Such a pity. If Wu Yuan were given 3 to 5 more years to fully mature, would we be so troubled today? No one in the meeting hall spoke, their joy quickly fizzling out. Indeed, distant water could not quench present thirst. Despite Wu Yuan's shocking talent, he was still only a 6th grade martial virtuoso. Only 5th grade martial artists or above could truly be called experts. Uncle Long, Grandpa Lu, Uncle Dongjao, with a flip of his hand, Wu Yuan placed a stack of silver notes and a small amount of loose silver on the table. I was able to train so quickly because I bought some training materials. I've spent quite a bit, and this is all I have left. There were more than 800 silver taels. In reality, Wu Yuan had a total of 3,000 silver taels, as well as another 100 silver taels awarded to him at the Martial Academy Major Tournament. After deducting the amount required for his household necessities and body tempering pills, there were still over 1,700 taels left. However, Wu Yuan was unwilling to expose the 1,000 silver taels he had received from the general. Moreover, he had plans for the remaining silver. Wu Yuan, your training is of utmost importance. Keep these silver notes, said Grandpa Lu, who was also the clan's accountant, without hesitation. He was the elderly master of the 6th house, a learned scholar with a high status. Even the chieftain, Wu Kaiming, held him in high regard. A clan was like a miniature nation, financial power was incredibly crucial. A southern mansion has fallen, and our clansmen are dead. Our top priority now is to save the chieftain. Wu Yuan shook his head. Grandpa Lu, please accept these silver notes. As for my training, I will find a way to make it work. Wu Yuan did not allow them to decline the money, continuing, uncles, although Uncle Dongjao has roughly told me what happened, why did the vicious tiger gang attack us? Our Wu clan runs a clothing business, we don't have any conflicts with the vicious tiger gang. Understanding the root cause of an issue was key to formulating the right solution. Wu Yuan, this isn't something you need to know. But with your strength, You are indeed qualified to help bear the family's burden. So, I'll tell you, Wu Danjio replied. Wu Yuan gave an imperceptible nod. That was one of the reasons he revealed part of his strength. 1. He wanted to gradually reveal his strength as a build-up for the future. If he were to suddenly expose his strength one day without warning, it would alert the powerhouses of this world, and he would become the center of attention. 2. He kept a low profile in the past to avoid trouble, but if he was still hesitant when trouble came looking, it was plain foolishness. By showing some of his strength today, he could reassure his clansmen and solve the problem faster. It all started when the vicious Tiger Gang increased our annual tribute from 3,000 silver taels to 8,000 silver taels this year. They gave us no room for negotiation. Wu Danjio said. These gangs demand money routinely, but when has there ever been such a ridiculous increment? The young man in a black robe sneered. Upon hearing this, Wu Yuan's eyebrow rose. An increase from 3,000 taels to 8,000 taels. A difference of 5,000 silver taels, no more, no less. Was it merely a coincidence? Or was it intentional? Who was the powerful entity backing the vicious Tiger Gang? Wu Danjio patiently explained to ensure Wu Yuan followed along. Gangs usually collect annual fees, estate taxes, and tolls, but they don't usually go overboard. Whether in farming or business, income tends to remain fairly stable. If they make excessively unreasonable demands, people will resist. Resistance leads to casualties. Securing silver without bloodshed is the real goal for the thugs in these gangs, said Wu Danjio. Wu Yuan gave a subtle nod. The Cloudstride sect already levied taxes on the people. For common folk, this was not a light burden. Once pushed to the brink, a desperate fight would naturally erupt between them and the thugs. The main reason individuals took on the risk to join gangs and become bandits was for money, not because they enjoyed fighting. The actions of the vicious Tiger Gang were abnormal. After all, the Wu clan, with hundreds of members, could muster an elite force composed of 7th grade martial novices and 6th grade martial virtuosos. If it came to a fight, they were a tough nut to crack. A few days ago, the chieftain personally visited the vicious Tiger Gang with 5,000 silver taels, Wu Long said in a low voice. He intended to negotiate with them, but the gangsters turned hostile, killing 2 accompanying clansmen and detaining the chieftain. Then, the vicious Tiger Gang even sent a squad of horsemen to attack one of our Wu clan's mansions located to the south of the city. Fortunately, we were alerted early and managed to evacuate quickly along the river. Still, we lost 6 clansmen. The mansion was destroyed. Wu Long's eyes glazed over with a hint of red. The vicious Tiger Gang has demanded an additional 8,000 silver taels. Only then will they free the chieftain. Otherwise, not only will the chieftain die, but our other mansion outside the city will be raided. The Wu clan will also be unable to take one step out of the city. The higher UPS of the Wu clan all wore gloomy expressions, while anger flashed across Wu Yuan's face. Murder, destruction of property, and they still demanded an additional 8,000 silver taels. They were going too far. Are we going to obey them? Wu Yuan asked in a low voice. Since they had called him back to gather silver, it was clear that the Wu clan had chosen to surrender, to give up. What else can we do? Wu Danjio gave a bitter smile. The chieftain is in their hands. The might of the vicious Tiger Gang is tenfold that of our Wu clan. If we resist, we might inflict some damage on the vicious Tiger Gang, but our Wu clan would be decimated. Even if we don't save the chieftain, if we can't leave the city, the livelihoods of our Wu clan will be in jeopardy. Wu Yuan fell silent. An integral component of the fabric business lay outside the city. It was unrealistic to think they could purchase raw materials within the city. Getting trapped within Li City meant a slow march to their deaths. With hundreds of mouths to feed, the clan's daily expenses were not small. With only expenditure but no income, the Wu clan would not be able to keep up for long. Do we have enough money? Wu Yuan asked. Selling some of our real estate, along with the money you gave, should give us just about enough. The accountant sighed, but the news has already spread and everyone is eagerly lowering prices. Our properties won't fetch a high price. Wu Yuan acknowledged with a slight nod. You will help in times of trouble, and many will kick you when you're down. What about the main family? Wu Yuan asked quietly. Can we ask for their help? Or the local authorities? As long as the vicious Tiger Gang doesn't enter the city or carry out large-scale massacres, the local authorities won't do a thing. Wu Danjio shook his head. As for the main family, they're thousands of li away, and it will take several days just to get the message across. Moreover, even if the main family is willing to help, distant water can't put out a nearby fire. What can they do to the vicious tiger gang? Wu Dongjio sighed. Wu Yuan understood. They could not rely on anyone. If the vicious tiger gang was targeting all the fabric shops or entire towns, they would naturally fail to suppress everyone. But they were only targeting the Wu clan now, which wouldn't cause much backlash, and everyone was happy to sit back and watch the show. Uncles, I will speak to the headmaster later today, Wu Yuan said. The headmaster of the martial academy is powerful, but he cannot mobilize the two armies, said a young man in a black robe, clearly harboring no hope. Grandpa Lu held a different opinion. Wu Yuan, go ahead and give it a try. Headmaster Zhang has a wide network of friends. If he's willing to help you, perhaps we'll be able to find a solution. Wu Yuan nodded and left the meeting hall immediately. Watching as Wu Yuan departed, Wu Dongjio furrowed his brows. Uncle Lu, the martial academy will not meddle in this matter. Even if they are willing to help us, what can they do? We all know it's futile. Grandpa Lu slightly shook his head, but Wu Yuan is willing to contribute his efforts to the clan. Should we reject him? This would only cause him more grief. Continuously supporting him won't foster a sense of belonging. Let him give, only then will he have unseverable feelings for the clan, Grandpa Lu said. Those in the meeting hall contemplated his words. All right. Let's not worry about Wu Yuan for now, let him do as he wishes. We need to devise more methods to amass enough silver. The sooner we rescue the chieftain, the better. Exiting the meeting hall, Wu Yuan exchanged a few words with his mother before leaving the Wu clan's ancestral mansion. Seek out Headmaster Zhang? Wu Yuan shook his head faintly. He was not so naive. The world of adults was all about interests. Why would the headmaster confront a large gang on behalf of the Wu clan? What benefits would it bring? In Wu Yuan's view, this smelled like a conspiracy. vmnovel.cm. Vicious Tiger Gang. Wu Yuan murmured as he walked down the street. In his mind, he reminisced about the numerous times the chieftain had helped his family, and recalled the 6 corpses sprawled on the ground of the ancestral mansion's courtyard. 8 of his relatives had met a gruesome end, of which, the bodies of 2 of them couldn't even be retrieved. It seems I can only rely on myself. A glint of murderous intent flashed in the deep recesses of Wu Yuan's eyes. Following the familiar path home, he changed into a set of clothing he had bought not long ago but never worn. Then he employed the transfiguration technique, transforming himself into a tall and slender young man. Wu Yuan headed straight for the Starcom Consortium. This time, he wasn't buying medicinal pills, but a weapon meant to draw blood. In a life-or-death battle, having the right weapon was paramount. One help is too far away to solve a current crisis. Chapter 18, A Lone Journey. In a private room on the 3rd floor of the Starcom Consortium. Esteemed guest, these are the weapons you requested? A young man in a black robe sat in the lower chair, pointing to several weapons on the table with a professional smile. Close-fitting soft armor, constructed with silver and fine steel wire as the core materials. It was meticulously crafted by specialist craftsmen into circles, and even an adept will struggle to tear it apart. Completely intact, rated a 6th grade weapon by our Starcom Consortium. It is priced at 100 silver taels. A fine steel long saber, 3 chi 2 kun in length 1, rated 6th grade, worth 60 silver taels. The young man in the black robe looked at Wu Yuan. I'll take both the soft armor and the long saber. Pack them up. Wu Yuan said, appearing as a tall and thin young man. In the middle land, weapons were divided into different grades, similar in many ways to the 9 grades of martial artists. 9th grade, 8th grade, and 7th grade weapons are not significantly different. These belong to the category of ordinary weapons. They were sold at very low prices, and often made in common blacksmith shops. Weapons of the 6th, 5th, and 4th grades were primarily constructed of extraordinary materials. They were commonly known as superior weapons and were capable of withstanding the terrifying impact of powerful martial artists. Their prices were more than 100 times higher than that of ordinary weapons. As for the top 3 grades of weapons, also known as divine weapons, they were extremely rare, with prices ranging from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of silver taels. Some legendary divine weapons couldn't even be acquired with money. Most weapon refiners wouldn't be able to refine a divine weapon in their lifetime. For Wu Yuan, superior weapons were sufficient in the short term. In addition to these, I'd like to purchase detailed information on the Northern Mountain Gang. Wu Yuan casually said. The Northern Mountain Gang was a large gang on the same scale as the vicious Tiger Gang, but even stronger, and with an even longer history. Information on the Northern Mountain Gang. The black-robed young man's pupils shrank slightly. After a little thought, he said, the Starcom Consortium's information is divided into 3 levels, detailed, rough, and brief. Which level of information do you need? Price. Wu Yuan said bluntly. That was his real concern. 180 taels, 10 taels, and 1 tael respectively, the young man in the black robe said. However, it should be noted that detailed information cannot be taken out of the Starcom Consortium, it can only be read in the building. Once purchased, it can be viewed free of charge for 15 days, including any updates during the viewing period. Wu Yuan nodded slightly. The price difference between these 3 levels of information was not large. And with a little deduction, it was clear that for rough and brief information, the Starcom Consortium wasn't too worried about leaks. However, Wu Yuan understood that a single silver tael, the price of the cheapest level of information, could still feed a family of 3 for quite some time. No matter, it was a casual inquiry, Wu Yuan said evenly. A casual inquiry, the young man in black robes blinked in surprise. Wu Yuan soon departed from the Starcom Consortium, his newly purchased long saber and soft armor in tow. After storing his weapons in the Martial Academy, Wu Yuan once again transfigured into a sturdy man and entered the Starcom Consortium. Once again, he climbed the stairs and ascended to the 3rd floor. He entered another private room. Soon, a large pile of weapons was brought into the room by the guards. 20 throwing knives. Short handles, small but sharp, rated as 5th grade, each knife is priced at 20 silver taels. This is the luminous silver frost spear. The spearhead is made mainly of fine iron and mixed with a portion of stream-like cold iron. Crafted by a master blacksmith, its sharpness is extraordinary. The shaft is crafted from the finest star willow wood. The combination of 2, rated as 5th grade, is worth 420 silver taels. The silver spear could be split into 2 parts and placed into a portable weapon case that could be carried on one's back. The total comes to 820 silver taels. The middle-aged man in black robes respectfully informed Wu Yuan of the final tally. 820 silver taels. Wu Yuan, whose flesh and muscles were currently stretched and flexed to different proportions, furrowed his eyebrows slightly. He'd given away more than 800 taels in the ancestral mansion. After deducting the cost of the 2 weapons he'd previously purchased, he barely had enough to afford these as well. Reduce the number of throwing knives to 10, Wu Yuan pondered for a moment, then added, also, I need a detailed report on the vicious Tiger Gang. Within Wu Yuan's private practice room in the County Martial Academy. The so-called superior weapons of this world are made rather crudely, yet they are immensely powerful. Wu Yuan's gaze swept over the line of superior weapons arrayed before him. Soft armor, long saber, throwing knives, long spear. The most expensive of all was the luminous silver frost spear. Stream-like cold iron, star willow wood. These were materials Wu Yuan had never heard of in his previous life. He was no scientist to judge them either. But he tested the hardness of the spearhead, and indeed, it was extraordinary. As for the shaft, its flexibility was astounding. A brief test confirmed its ability to withstand his 3-fold power surge. In open field group battles, it's best to rely on a mighty axe or a long spear. Regrettably, even a 6th grade superior axe comes at a price of thousands of silver taels. The prices of weapons were intimately linked to the materials and metals it was crafted with. As for the luminous silver frost spear, the priciest part was the short spearhead. In close quarters, one favors the long saber. Wu Yuan picked up the long saber, an ordinary one made of fine steel, yet sharp as could be. Throwing knives were long-range weapons, highly effective in both ambush and pursuit. The price of each knife was low, corresponding to its small size. I wonder if the Starcom Consortium saw through my tactic of splitting my purchases into 2 separate trips. Transfiguration was essentially a technique of disguise. It was difficult for ordinary people to detect, as it could alter one's outward appearance via the reshaping of flesh and bone. However, the bulk of one's musculoskeletal structure and essence could not be changed. The core of an individual, even when deliberately camouflaged, was difficult to truly alter. Moreover, the gap between the two weapon purchases was too short. On top of that, he had entered the Starcom consortium several times previously under transfiguration to purchase low-grade body tempering pills. Given his cautious character, Wu Yuan would have preferred to disguise himself under 3 identities, staying as inconspicuous as possible. However, time waited for no man. Wu Yuan was worried that if he waited any longer, Chieftain Wu Kaiming might not make it out alive. The audacious attack by the vicious Tiger Gang showed their complete disregard for the Wu clan. Every year, within Li City's borders, numerous martial artists fell at the hands of the vicious Tiger Gang, including members of major clans and formidable martial artists. Thus, he decided only to split his purchases into 2. For 160 silver taels, the information on the vicious Tiger Gang is rather clear. Various details about the vicious Tiger Gang surfaced in his mind. He had spent around an hour in the Starcom consortium committing the most important information to memory. The gang leader, Raging Tiger Yang Long, is a 4th-grade martial artist. He is known for his extreme ferocity and maintains a constant presence year-round at. Division Head Evil Tiger Li Yan, a 5th-grade martial artist, is the right-hand man of the gang leader. The appearances of all 6 adept experts in the vicious Tiger Gang were ingrained deeply in Wu Yuan's brain. As for those dozens of martial virtuosos and thousands of ordinary gang members, there were no individual mentions. The Starcom consortium didn't go into much detail, only providing a rough number. The Starcom consortium, despite its vast information network, could only keep tabs on the adept experts. Likewise, Wu Yuan also had a clear idea about the locations of the vicious Tiger Gang's headquarters and the 2 sub-branches mentioned in the intelligence. This intelligence was updated by the Starcom consortium 10 days ago. In a large gang of this size, significant changes within just 10 days are unlikely. With money, even gods can be bribed. The ancestors of old did not deceive me. Large clans with manpower could also collect such intelligence as long as they had the patience, such as the Luo family. Unfortunately, a small clan like Wu Clan did not have that level of resources. Was 160 silver taels expensive? Yes. But Wu Yuan felt it was worth it. At least, it allowed him to understand the strength of the opponent he was about to face. The chieftain went to the headquarters of the vicious Tiger Gang. It is about 130 li from Li City, located deep within Nine Cloud Mountain. Wu Yuan was familiar with the entire map of Li County. However, he had never actually left the city. The terrain of Li County was mostly flat, with a few rolling hills at most. Nine Cloud Mountain was a famous mountain within a few hundred li of the city. Gangsters were divided into 2 types, land bandits and water thieves. The bandits that roamed Li County and most of South Dream Province were mainly water thieves. The vicious Tiger Gang was the largest group of land bandits in Li County. It's about time. Wu Yuan stood up, donned his soft body armor, and carefully wrapped his weapon case, strapping it tightly to his back to avoid any noticeable irregularities. He then placed the throwing knives one by one into suitable positions. With the long saber in hand, he left the martial academy through a side door. Weapons were not forbidden in the Middle Land, but in general, most county cities and provincial cities still conducted checks. However, with Wu Yuan carrying the martial academy's token, he encountered little resistance. Swiftly, he disappeared into the vast wilderness. This was the first time Wu Yuan had left the county city since transmigrating here. To slaughter. Chapter 19, A Moonless, Windy Night. Nine Cloud Mountain was a collective term for a continuous line of mountain peaks, stretching dozens of miles. It was the only large-scale mountain range within Li County, and also the region where land bandits were most active. It was 130 li away from Li City, and the journey was mostly through gentle plains. For martial artists familiar with the terrain, it would only take 2 to 4 hours to traverse it. But for Wu Yuan, it was his first time stepping out of Li City, venturing into the untamed regions of the Middle Land. Although he had already memorized the geography, textbook knowledge was different from reality. Out of caution, he refrained from asking others for directions, avoiding passers-by as far as possible. Finally, after an arduous 6-hour journey, he arrived at the base of the mountain range. By the time night had descended in full, he had traversed 2 mountain peaks, delving deep into the heart of Nine Cloud Mountain. From the summit, Wu Yuan gazed upon a sprawling, bustling fortress below. Brightly lit, the stronghold stood out conspicuously against the mountainous backdrop. This should be the headquarters of the vicious Tiger Gang. Lifting his hand, a bronze mask covered his face. Simultaneously, Wu Yuan's bones compacted with a series of crackles and pops. His height shrunk while his arms, waist, and thighs all thickened slightly. He took on the appearance of a stout man less than 1.7 meters tall, holding a long saber in his hand. I wonder who's behind this vicious Tiger Gang. Wu Yuan silently observed the large camp. They're actually bold enough to set up such an enormous base. Land bandits and water thieves of small gangs had to constantly be on the move. After all, the guards of counties and townships were not to be underestimated. Even for large gangs that established bases, they usually kept a low profile, ensuring the locations of their hideouts remained secret. Whether it was the city guard of a county or the powerful South Dream Army, all soldiers underwent rigorous military training and were well equipped for battle. Roving bandits couldn't hope to challenge them. Few gangs were as brazen as the vicious Tiger Gang. It was practically screaming, "I have official backing." It's not a bad thing. If they hadn't established such a large stronghold, I might not have found them this easily. Night has barely fallen, and the members of the vicious Tiger Gang might still be wide awake. But I can't afford to wait, I must find the chieftain as soon as possible. Normally, the best time to launch an ambush would be during the latter half of the night, when people tended to be least vigilant. But time was of the essence. Wu Yuan dared not take the risk. Revenge was one of his objectives, but his primary goal was to rescue the chieftain. He was deeply grateful to the chieftain. Although the timing is not ideal, it is a new moon tonight. This suits my purposes just fine. The night sky was devoid of any trace of light. No moonlight to speak of, and barely a handful of stars. The darkness was all-encompassing, making the large stronghold stand out even more. The wind is picking up. Wu Yuan closed his eyes, sensing a gale sweep past as he quieted his thoughts. Some could only muster 80% or even 50% of their strength when faced with life or death situations. Their hearts were not strong or firm enough. Wu Yuan's eyes snapped open. His gaze had completely transformed, turning icy as frost, radiating a murderous intent. Swoosh. In one fluid motion, Wu Yuan placed his foot onto a tree branch. An imperceptible force pressed the branch downward, and he gracefully glided for several tens of jongs before landing on the next tree branch. The pitch-black forest was as clear as daylight in Wu Yuan's eyes, and he rapidly closed in on the stronghold in the middle of the mountain. It was a dark and windy night. The perfect cover for murder and arson. The vicious Tiger Gang was not a common band of renegades, but a large faction that developed over the course of many years. The organizational structure of the gang was relatively strict, the hierarchy clear, and the defenses of the stronghold were naturally stringent. There were patrolling guards, watchtowers, and hidden sentries. However, how skilled was Wu Yuan? He was no longer the person who had just transmigrated over. In the 4 months since he had recovered from his disoriented state, his physical strength had greatly increased, approaching the peak of his previous life. His mental perception was also growing continuously stronger. Although there was still some way to go before reaching the peak of his previous life, it was far stronger than when he had first regained consciousness in this world. Wu Yuan moved like a phantom, evading the numerous guards at the outermost perimeter of the stronghold with ease. Soon, he came atop a wall. With a light leap, Wu Yuan landed in a corner. The intelligence from the Starcom Consortium only included the location of the vicious Tiger Gang's headquarters. As for the internal structure of the stronghold, I have no idea. Wu Yuan concealed himself, observing his surroundings. Some areas were dimly lit, while others were cloaked in darkness. In an inconspicuous guard post within the stronghold. Damn it! The gang made a couple of big deals a few days ago. The gang leader is having a grand celebration and they brought some girls into the stronghold. They're all having fun, but we're stuck on night shift. A young gang member in green complained. You can only blame yourself. When the division head told you to behead a few people, you were slow to act. Why would the division head favor you? An older gang member huffed. But they were just kids. The young thug couldn't help but retort. So what if they were kids? Didn't you kill them in the end? The middle-aged thug scoffed disdainfully. Since you're a bandit, you must be ruthless. Otherwise, why did you join the vicious Tiger Gang? To practice chivalry. The young gang member fell silent. Suddenly, A shadow flashed past. The two guards felt their vision darken, and they both collapsed. A hand caught each falling body soundlessly. Then, they were swiftly transported into an inconspicuous, empty building nearby. The door closed quietly behind them and the two guards were lowered to the floor. Wu Yuan then lightly touched the waist of the older guard. The middle-aged guard suddenly woke up. What just happened? A split second later, he was horrified to find a figure standing in front of him. The figure wore a bronze mask and carried a large bundle on his back. At that moment, he understood that an enemy had infiltrated them. Don't speak, Wu Yuan's voice rasped. I will ask, and you will answer. If I find the slightest deceit, you are dead. If you answer honestly, perhaps I may spare your life. If you agree, nod. Wu Yuan peered down at him. The middle-aged guard nodded frantically. Where does the vicious tiger gang generally imprison their captives? Wu Yuan inquired. There's a small 3-story building in the east of the stronghold. That's where they usually lock up the captives, the middle-aged guard said in a quiet voice. Good. Now shut up. Wu Yuan commanded coldly. He then gently pressed his hand to the waist of the young guard. Given Wu Yuan's mastery over the human body, he knew perfectly well how to render someone unconscious, and then conscious again. The young guard awoke swiftly. In mere seconds, he understood his predicament and was filled with shock. After all, both guards neared the level of 6th grade martial virtuosos, yet they had been caught off guard. They weren't able to resist this man at all. Look at me. Does the gang leader reside in the 3-story building in the east of the stronghold? Wu Yuan coldly demanded. Speak. Not the gang leader. The gang leader resides in the small courtyard house beside the building. The building houses the 2 division heads and the vicious tiger. The frightened young guard blurted out everything all at once. He didn't notice the change in the middle-aged guard's expression. Boom. Seemingly regaining his mobility, the middle-aged guard suddenly leaped up, his face twisted in ferocity. A short blade appeared in his hand, and he thrust it towards Wu Yuan's chest. At such close proximity, he believed that not even an adept could evade this attack. A flash of light cut through the air, and the ghost-like Wu Yuan instantly swept past the guard's side. A gash appeared on the guard's throat and blood gushed out ceaselessly. The middle-aged guard's eyes widened, his hand instinctively clutching his neck, but he could not stop the flow of blood. He opened his mouth, yet not a single whisper emerged before he collapsed backward. Wu Yuan caught him, gently laying him down. On the side, the young guard, who was newly inducted into the vicious tiger gang, was terrified beyond reason. He had accompanied the gang on pillaging expeditions a few times, but never before had death loomed so close. He lied, and thus, he died. Wu Yuan's voice was hoarse yet collected. If you lie, you too shall meet your end. I will ask, you shall answer. In the next 2 minutes, Wu Yuan interrogated him. Terrified and cornered, the young guard spilled every last secret, leaving no question unanswered. Last question. How many people did you behead on your last mission? Wu Yuan asked. The young guard was taken aback, instinctively replying, 3. Whoosh. A blade ray flashed across the young guard's neck. His head rolled off, tumbling about on the floor as his body went limp. Blood stained the ground. Even at his final breath, his eyes bulged wide, as if in disbelief. Is this what it feels like to kill someone? Wu Yuan gazed at the 2 lifeless bodies on the floor. His heart seemed to turn colder. Those he killed, are killed in return. The Middle Land is far more cruel than my previous world. There is no law, only strength reigns supreme. Perhaps one day, I too shall meet my end. An understanding dawned within Wu Yuan. He searched the corpses, procuring a few silver notes which he stowed away. In a swift movement, he floated out of the room. Then, he stealthily navigated toward the prison located in the northern part of the stronghold. Chapter 20, The Chuzhang Token. Wu Yuan was initially reluctant to commit a large-scale massacre. However, after overhearing the idle chatter of 2 guards, he realized that there might not be any innocent individuals in this entire stronghold. Even hesitating to behead someone led to punishment. How could anyone here be innocent? The middle-aged thug's attempt to lure Wu Yuan into the 3-story building, which was filled with the stronghold's most skilled fighters, truly ignited his desire to kill. Besides, those he killed were all murderers. It seems a flame has been ignited in my heart. With Wu Yuan's strong mental perception, he naturally detected the subtle changes in his condition. It was as if he could see his thoughts with greater clarity. I am not a killer at heart. But as a martial artist, I strive for a clear mind. In his previous life, he had never taken a person's life. But today, he would not hold back. Despite the size of the vicious Tiger Gang's stronghold, it was crudely constructed. It looked somewhat like a military camp, nowhere near as exquisite as the manners of the local nobility in the county city. The stronghold's security was tight on the outside, but slack on the inside. Wu Yuan was extremely watchful when passing through the outer perimeter and hidden sentries. But now, he was relatively relaxed. After darting between buildings, jumping over several small courtyards, and avoiding a patrol team, Wu Yuan finally reached the prison located in the north of the stronghold. There are actually 8 people on guard duty, with lights illuminating all 4 sides. I can't find any blind spots. Wu Yuan, hiding in the darkness about 20 meters away, observed the prison building. He dared not get any closer. No matter how well he controlled his body, how precise his movements, how sharp his senses were, or how well he could hide his tracks, martial arts was not immortal cultivation. There were no techniques that granted one invisibility, allowing one to openly strut about in front of the guards. As for mind control, illusions. If I can surpass my previous mental strength and attain a level where my mind influences the external world, perhaps such things will be possible. But for now, it was just a dream. Throwing knives? At best, he could only assassinate 2 or 3 people in one go. And once one of them was hit, the other guards would immediately notice and sound the alarm. After a 10-second deliberation, Wu Yuan decisively retreated, leaving the prison behind and heading towards the south of the stronghold. Only a quarter of an hour later, boom, a massive blaze erupted from a small courtyard house in the south, closely followed by another one nearby. In the blink of an eye, 4 courtyard houses were aflame. Fire! Quick, fetch help, there's a fire. The entire stronghold was instantly in uproar. Shouts of alarm echoed around, followed by the clanging of emergency gongs. Amidst the clamor, a large number of gang members hurriedly emerged from their houses, quickly grabbing tools to carry water and rushing towards the source of the fire. Most of the stronghold was constructed with wood, and the courtyard houses are closely adjacent to one another. If the fire were allowed to spread, the entire stronghold might be burned down. In the east of the stronghold was a 3-story building. Next to it was a delicate courtyard house. Inside the main hall of the courtyard house, rows of candles were lit, illuminating it brightly. The interior decor was elegant, not at all like the brutishness of a gang leader, but rather with a touch of scholarly refinement. Senior brother, it's been several years since we last met. How did you find my stronghold today? The robust middle-aged man in the host seat was dressed in a scholar's robe, speaking courteously. If the underlings outside saw their gang leader in such attire, they would surely be flabbergasted. Indeed, this refined middle-aged man was none other than Yang Long, the leader of the vicious Tiger Gang, who was well known for his ruthlessness in Li City. Junior brother is still as capable as ever. In just a few short years, you've laid such a vast foundation in Li County. Our master will be overjoyed to hear of this. Across the hall, sitting in the honored guest seat, was a tall and thin young man clad in beast hide. 2 large black hammers were placed on either side. Serving master is my duty, proclaimed Yang Long. Junior brother, allow me to cut to the chase, spoke the youth in beast hide. I am not only visiting you to inspect your mountain stronghold as per master's orders, but also to deliver another command. Over these past years, have you found any traces of a Chuzhang token? Haha, if you had me asked a month ago, I would have had no news, Yang Long replied with a faint smile. However, after years of relentless investigation, I have finally confirmed that when the Chuzhang Empire fell, a member of the royal family did indeed escape to the South Dream Province. A Chuzhang token went missing in Li City. As for myself, I have been secretly searching for it, and finally acquired it a few days ago, said Yang Long. Oh. The eyes of the youth dressed in beast hide brightened. He had asked the question casually, not expecting to reap any results. Please take a look, senior brother, Yang Long said as he fetched a small box from the bookshelf behind him, opened it, and retrieved a palm-sized, glittering gold token. It was extremely dazzling, and did not look like ordinary gold. Yang Long held up the token for the thin youth in beast hide to examine. The surface of the token was covered with interwoven lines, resembling numerous rivers meeting at a single confluence. On the back, the ancient characters Chujang were inscribed. It is indeed the Chujang token, the youth in beast hide confirmed, his breath quickening. Junior brother, let me take a closer look. Hee hee, chuckled Yang Long. He flipped his palm over and gripped the token tightly, clearly uninterested in handing it over. Junior brother, are you planning to keep it for yourself? The youth in beast hide looked slightly displeased. Senior brother, this Chujang token is more of a curse than a blessing to me. I am willing to hand it to you, allowing you to make a huge accomplishment by presenting it to Master, Yang Long said slowly, but I have also put in years of effort. What do you want in return? The youth in beast hide cut straight to the point. Feel free to ask. You are indeed straightforward, senior brother, Yang Long grinned, but I am not a greedy man. All I ask for is 3 drops of ancient immortal dew and a divine weapon. Junior brother, every drop of ancient immortal dew is precious beyond measure, the youth in beast hide frowned. Senior brother is Master's direct disciple, my status cannot be compared to yours. The ancient immortal dew is precious, but I believe it should not be a problem for you, said Yang Long. My asking price is not high. If you cannot give it to me, there's nothing I can do. But I believe the other senior brothers would be interested once they hear the news. The tall youth's gaze narrowed slightly. He knew that Yang Long spoke the truth. To their master, as long as he obtained the Chujang token in the end, it didn't matter who handed it over. Alright. Junior brother, I do not have a divine weapon suitable for you. I'll exchange it for a drop of ancient immortal dew instead. Here's a total of 4 drops. The tall young man in beast hide waved his hand. A green jade vial flew out from his hand like a flash of lightning. Yang Long caught it easily and opened the vial stopper immediately. As a refreshing fragrance filled the room, a smile spread across Yang Long's face. Senior brother is generous. I will be entrusting this Chujang token to senior brother. Yang Long's voice was hearty as he placed the golden token into a box, and with a wave of his hand, sent it over to the man clad in beast hide. The young man in beast hide received it and looked it over carefully. His face relaxed after he confirmed its authenticity, and he cautiously stowed it away. Many thanks, junior brother. The tall and thin man in beast hide raised his wine cup. I hope that after presenting the token to Master, senior brother will put in a good word for me. Yang Long also raised his wine cup. Ancient immortal dew was very precious. But in terms of value, forget 4 drops. For a Chujang token, people would gladly trade 40 drops of ancient immortal dew for it. But Yang Long knew that their master only truly valued his 5 direct disciples. There were hundreds of nominal disciples like himself under their master. If he were to exchange it himself, he wouldn't even get to see his master's face before meeting his demise. The 2 disciples each harbored their own agendas, but both took what they needed in the end. Thus they chatted harmoniously for a while. Big brother, there's trouble. A frantic voice suddenly shouted from outside the hall, an enemy has invaded our stronghold, a highly skilled one. Second brother, speak inside. Yang Long got up abruptly, his demeanor completely different. He was no longer a gentlemanly middle-aged man, but a raging tiger. Clang, someone pushed open the door and entered. A sturdy, fat, and short man strode into the hall, his head bowed as he said, Big brother, just now, several courtyard houses in the south and west caught fire. Our brothers in the stronghold just rushed over to help. But before the fire was put out, the prison in the north suddenly sent up a signal flare for help. How is the situation now? Where are 4th brother and 5th brother? Yang Long asked. We rushed over right away. 5th brother is currently leading the vicious tiger guard to encircle the expert, trapping him in a courtyard, but the casualties are heavy, the stout man said anxiously. As for 4th brother, he was killed in 2 strokes of the expert's saber right from the start. 4th brother is dead, 2 strokes. Yang Long's expression finally changed. Senior brother, I apologize for the inadequate reception, but there's a bit of trouble in the stronghold. Some brainless idiot has intruded the stronghold, I will need to leave for a short moment to handle it. Yang Long turned to look at the tall and skinny youth dressed in beast hide. 4th brother, he's probably the one we saw earlier during the day, said the youth in beast hide softly. Although his strength was average, he was an adept. If he was killed in 2 strokes, the intruder is likely a second-rate adept. Haha. Junior brother, since I'm here, and you've also given me a great gift, why don't I help you get things back under control, the youth in the beast hide said with a laugh. With senior brother here, the intruder will be captured in no time. Yang Long was overjoyed.